There certainly hasn't been a lot to look forward to when it comes to Disney Star Wars. Pretty much everything they've put out in the last year and a half, 2 years has just been absolute garbage, from Book of Boba Fett to Mandalorian Season 3 to Obi-Wan Kenobi, maybe the worst of the worst. But the one thing that there did seem to be some positivity for was Andor. Other than the fact that nobody actually watched it, the people that did watch it seemed to think that it was pretty good, to be honest with you. But unfortunately, we just found out something about Andor, that the show that had the worst ratings in terms of number of people watching per episode cost the most. Andor's massive budget breaks Star Wars record. I told you what this was before, Jeremy, what the budget was before we even started the stream. But if you were to hazard a guess, what would you expect this show to cost? Like, if you had been ballparking it, what is your guess?
For the entire series or for the entire season?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, I would say probably like 100 million,
Yeah, that's around what, Mandalorian seasons have been. That was what they were estimated at when they started, around $80 million, $100 million, somewhere around there. Well, Andor's budget was $250 million for one season of this show.
Good God.
That is astronomical. That is outrageous. And it really explains, maybe, why Disney continues to lose billions of dollars on Disney Plus and on streaming with budgets that are inflated like this. And again, when you look at the reaction, I do think that there wasn't a big draw for it, but the people that watched it seemed to enjoy it and seemed to think, for the most part, that it was pretty good. But it just didn't draw an audience in, despite the fact that it was 12 episodes long, very long episodes. So it did rack up some watch time, when it was all said and done. But on a per episode basis, it can't even compete with things like Book of Boba Fett or with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Certainly not Mandalorian Season 3 either. Like, how are they spending this much money? That's more than they spent on Rogue One, by the way.
That's such an astronomically high budget. This all gets back to the basics of things. People just want good stories that honors the universe. Now, I thought Andor did a really good job of world building. I'll give it that credit. Based on I think I saw 4 or 5 episodes. I can't remember. I thought it did a good job of the world building aspect. I also thought that everything around it was pretty boring, even though the world building was cool. But like, if you just get things back to the basics, you don't need these grandiose things. You just need to get things back to the basics. Cobra Kai is a classic example of that. Like, I can't imagine Cobra Kai had this massive budget. It seems like it's relatively small in nature and everything like that. But this is supposed to be more of a small, contained story. And the fact that they blew their budget like this, and Andor really wasn't that popular at all. As much as I hated Obi-Wan Kenobi, that there were people who were watching that. Now, we know there were people watching it because of the prequels, because Ewan McGregor, Hayden McChristensen, all of that. You were getting some ROI, return on investment, some ROI. I don't know how this movie made any of their ROI back. How could they have made $250 million back? And then what else? Is it kind of the same kind of process as the movies, Ryan?
Oh, I have no idea what they're spending marketing this stuff. That's something that we don't know. In a lot of ways, we don't know a lot of things surrounding these streaming shows, including how they value something. Because right now, Disney Plus is losing fucking money. It's been losing billions of dollars every single quarter. In fact, they were so proud of themselves, despite losing 4 million subscribers in the last quarter on Disney Plus. They were proud of themselves for only losing $700 million in a given quarter. That was like a massive win for them in their minds. So it just doesn't make any sense right now, the amount of money that they're spending on stuff. They're trying to build up this subscriber base. They're trying to put new original content on there, but there has not been this return on their investment as of yet. And that goes for a lot of these different streaming services. Now, even for something like Obi-Wan, it had massive ratings to start off. When they dropped the first couple episodes, those dived off a cliff. Mm-hmm. But when it was all said and done, Andor actually had more minutes watched than Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett. However, the caveat is this is 12 episodes, very long episodes. Obi-Wan was only 6 total episodes. So that's kind of why that happens. On a per episode basis, this was the lowest rated one, undoubtedly.
A lot of people seem to really like Andor. It was never going to be this big numbers turner. It wasn't going to be the Mandalorian season 1. It wasn't going to be the beginning of Kenobi. It wasn't going to get that type of attention. And in a world of Star Wars that was operating like it needed to, if the sequel trilogy would have been done right, if they would have carried out, the creative visions for a lot of their TV shows, then Andor would have been fine. Maybe it would have lost a little bit of money, but it would have been a nice kind of smaller, contained story that made the hardcore fans happy. But they don't have that luxury right now because they've destroyed so much of Star Wars. It's like anything else. Andor with a $250 million budget probably was never going to make a profit, and that's fine. But if you would have been having the sequel trilogy and other things that were making the profit, it wouldn't be a big problem. Now Andor has to make money, and the fact that it didn't is catastrophic for the brand.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
That's why when I found that out, that was wild. Like I was expecting probably about 150. Again, this is something. Remember, they built that entire set for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they built that whole thing, and there was a bunch of like false reports about what was filming where at certain times from people who thought they had sources, blah blah blah, whatever. But no, that was the Andor set, the massive Andor set that they were building there. So they didn't do the volume shit with Andor. They built a lot of stuff. They did a lot of practical things. Maybe that's what just caused us to go up and up and up and up. And despite the fact that some of the CGI looks like shit for some of these Star Wars properties, and you can tell it sometimes that it's being filmed, in the volume, at least that's able to keep some costs down. The idea that $100 million show for Mandalorian versus 250 million, again, that is more than Rogue One cost to make. Like, because the estimates for that were in that range with all the reshoots and problems that they had with it. Like, that's nuts to me.